Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Mixed reaction tonight for school districts across Yellowstone County as they go to voters for more education funding.
For the first time in 12 years, Billings voters tonight say yes to high school students across the district.
Tonight, a celebration for School District 2 officials after this long-awaited public approval.
Here's a look at the votes. The $971,000 high school mill levy appears to pass by about 10%. The levy to replace old textbooks and technology, plus improve career readiness across School District 2.
Now, this is the first operational high school levy that Billings voters have passed in a dozen years.
Q2's Mitch Laggy has just returned from the vote-watching party turned victory party tonight.
And Mitch, I guess the new superintendent is probably feeling pretty relieved tonight.
Oh, that's definitely right, Russ. School District 2 Superintendent Greg Upham is excited about tonight's election results. He told me that the Billings high schools will see the positive effects of this levy this coming school year in the fall of 2019. Everybody involved, from students to board members, are excited.
Well, we're excited to say the least, and pleased and grateful, humbled by the community's support, very much so. Now the work begins. We want to begin the career pathways that we talked about in the high schools, and I'm sure our counselors are excited, and our teachers are excited, and our students are excited, and then start choosing instructional materials and updating those. I just told our curriculum director, I said, well, you might want to stay up a little bit later tonight because you've got some work to do, and he's excited about it.
And if you own a home in Billings, the passing of this levy will affect you. For example, the owner of a $200,000 home will see a $10.04 increase on your property tax next year. Russ and Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Mitch. Well, a hard no from Shepherd voters tonight, where the district has not passed a bond for 30 years.
The vote's a little closer for the nearly $8.9 million elementary bond, but not enough to pass.
The high school bond, also seeking $8.9 million, went down to defeat by a wider margin.
In Laurel, it's too close to call the outcome of the $2 million elementary reserve levy. That levy to improve safety and security issues, land purchases and maintenance. The unofficial final, a 5-vote difference.
The $1 million high school levy passing by a larger margin, that money to go towards safety and security improvements and general maintenance. And tonight in Broadview, voters said yes to a $15,000 mill levy to support the general school fund. That will cost taxpayers less than $4 a year on a $200,000 home.
The Blue Creek School District just south of Billings was asking for a $75,000 mill levy for the general operation of its district. As you can see here, voters did say yes. That levy will cost homeowners of a $200,000 home about $40 a year.
And voters in the Pioneer School District just east of the Billings Heights say no to a $16,000 general fund mill levy. You can see all the results from tonight on our website, ktvq.com.
One student killed, at least 7 others injured in a school shooting outside Denver today.
It happened less than 10 miles from Columbine High School. Chris Martinez reports.
Shortly before 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, shots rang out inside the STEM school Highlands Ranch.
Attention all units getting information on a shooting, STEM school 8757 Ridgeline Boulevard.
The building went into lockdown as a massive police response got underway.
We heard that there was a lockdown, but we thought it was a drill until we saw the officer with the patrol rifle, and then tens of other police cars just coming our way.
Police officers and sheriff's deputies swarmed the area and began a room-by-room search.
There was shots fired. Our officers went in and we engaged the suspects. We currently have 2 suspects in custody.
Investigators have not identified the gunmen, but said both attend the STEM school.
This is a terrible event. This is something that no one wants to have happen in their community.
Students described a harrowing scene inside their school.
Well, we heard like really big bangs, which I assume are gunshots, and then we also heard like some screaming and stuff like that.
The lockdown was gradually lifted after the suspects were apprehended. Students and parents were later reunited at a nearby community center. One mother praised the students' response, saying they know what to do. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Back in Billings tonight, alcohol appears to be a factor in a crash that injured a pedestrian in downtown. It happened around 8:30 near the courthouse on North 27th Street.
Medics were loading the victim into the ambulance when Q2 got there. It's not known at this point how seriously he might have been hurt. He was rushed to the hospital. The driver of the Ford Explorer Sport Track was given a sobriety test there at the scene and taken into custody in handcuffs. No word yet on what charges she'll be facing.
Billings police are now offering a reward for information leading to the remains of Laura Johnson, a woman who went missing from Billings last fall. The $1,000 reward comes after her former boyfriend was arrested last month on suspicion of deliberate homicide. Police are seeking assistance from the public and landowners in the areas south of Laurel and east of Billings in the Shepherd, Warden, and Huntley areas. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact police.
A former U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service agent facing 10 years in prison after admitting to possessing child pornography. Sean Thomas Conrad was also fined $250,000 and given 5 years to life of supervised release. And after admitting to that one count of possession of child porn, Billings police began investigating Conrad last August. As part of that investigation, a hard drive containing child porn was found in Conrad's Fish and Wildlife vehicle as well as on his laptop at home. Prosecutors also allege that Conrad tried to entice a girl into making an explicit video, but dropped that charge as part of the plea agreement.
Well, switching gears to the weather scene, Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joins us now. Bob, things are definitely going to be warming up in our region, but what does our snowpack look like?
This is, we're coming to the end of the snowfall season, so I thought, well, let's double check and see how we did. And as you can see, here's the map, and take a look. The area highlighted in blue, that's where we're actually above 100% of normal, and so there's a lot of places that are doing that well. But in the green, we're kind of right at around 100% of normal, or just a little below. In the areas highlighted in yellow, like at Kalispell and Havre, we're about 84 to 88% of normal, so we're not doing as well in that area. Meanwhile, in Wyoming, check this out, kind of the same story. The area in yellow not doing as well, but that in the green, we're really right at around 100% of normal. But up around Yellowstone Park, they're way ahead of normal, 113 to 122% of normal up in the Yellowstone drainage. So as far as the snowpack up in the mountains and close in south central Montana, northeastern Montana, and also northwestern Wyoming, we're looking pretty good for snowpack. Probably just now we've got enough maybe to helpfully get us through the summer with a lot of the snow melt and maybe have some irrigation for us then as well. Let's go back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Bob.
It is a ship to withstand the test of time, but before the USS Billings begins its duties, it needs a proper send-off.
Tonight, Billings donors met for what could be considered a fundraising kickoff for the ship's official commissioning August 3rd. As Q2's Andrea Lutz reports, it all began with a train ride.
The USS Billings being commissioned this summer, and because our city bears the name on the side of the ship, the pressure is on to fundraise. So through those doors, over 100 people are taking the ride of a lifetime.
All aboard!
So Burlington Northern approached us and gave us an opportunity to do some fundraising for the USS Billings.
120 people boarding this historic BNSF train heading east. And they meet with one thing in common.
I think it's incredible that Billings got a ship named after it. My dad is Navy and my son is Navy. My husband was Army. So I surprised him with tickets tonight.
Each ticket costs $100. On this night alone, $10,000 is raised, but there's plenty more to go.
Now the excitement is starting to build. The community's getting excited. They're buying the hats. They're buying the challenge coins and the shirts and stuff like that. So it really is generating some positive outcomes.
So organizers say fundraising events have got to hit the mark.
Those are his passes.
These are my passes. We've been working on this for probably a year and a half, just trying to get to this point. Now the excitement is starting to build.
A fundraising committee made up of volunteers and business leaders, community leaders, all of them saying that throwing the USS Billings a party is gonna cost several $100,000. So far, already $150,000 has been raised.
The Navy finally made it official that August 3rd was going to be the commissioning date down in Key West. So we've got a lot more planning that we've been putting all the little details together as we get closer to that date.
So now that the date has been set for August 3rd in Key West, Florida, things are rolling on down the tracks. That's because the committee has a location and a menu set for Key West, Florida. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
And the passengers on the train traveled to Pompey's Pillar and back for roughly 2 hours, having dinner and drinks provided by BNSF.
Well, the next stage in a large downtown construction project is now complete.
We've just been waiting for the Sky Bridge to get built. It's built now. We had to plumb it all up, square it all up. Now we're gonna hang it with the crane.
And Hanel makes it sound simple. Hoisting a sky bridge into place is no easy feat. Once the area was prepped, construction crews were able to get the 95-foot, 22-ton structure into place in just about 30 minutes. That bridge will connect the Stillwater building and a new parking lot, which is still under construction. The Stillwater building used to be the old federal courthouse and was renovated after asbestos concerns. It's now home to new offices.
Well, Q2 also stopped by the Alberta Bear Theater today to take you inside for an update on the $12 million demolition and remodel. A new curtain wall system will be installed, as well as an extension of about 15 feet per side of the building. Now, the construction will extend the structure out to the curb line, allowing for more ease to move through the lobby and mezzanine spaces. Now, the new seating will be installed along with updated acoustics. About 3 months of demolition remain before the remodel begins.
It's nice just to see a project go from start to finish and see an older facility like this and at the completion of the project have a more functional space that's good for many years to come.
And that remodel is expected to be complete by September 2020.
Some pint-sized athletes turned out tonight to compete in the Montana Kids Run.
Events got underway at 6 o'clock on the Rocky Mountain College outdoor track. Now, kids from 3 years to 10 years took part in the races. The farthest distance, 400 yards, one lap around the track. The Kids Run is tied into the Montana Women's Run this Saturday, May 11th in downtown Billings. Now, tonight we're hearing you can still sign up and get a t-shirt.
You can go to womensrun.org to get registered and join us Saturday morning as we support women's fitness health across the region. The packet pickup begins tomorrow at race headquarters in downtown Billings.
Coming up in tonight's 10 o'clock news, Governor Bullock wrapping up his end of this year's legislative session as he signs dozens of bills into law today.
And in sports, Q2's Athlete of the Week may be Montana's best high jumper. Scott's going to show us why.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.